All right, Step, when we start talking 13-6 day, and this is how you know we've done this for a while. I don't even bother introducing the dude. I just go right into it. Step, we are now in the 6A. When you start 13-6A over the last couple of weeks or years, we've been talking Willis. Willis is kind of taking over that district,
Mm-hmm.
going through the thing undefeated. And
Back to
I'm gonna
back years.
back to back years, and I'm gonna take your words, not mine. They got the Travis Hunter of high school football back for another year. I even had one of our other shows, Sports Stars of Tomorrow, in a meeting today, just tapped me on the shoulder and said, "Hey, you ever heard of this dude, Jermaine Bishop? I think we probably should hit him for our national show." I said, "I think you probably should. I
Yeah,
think that's
yeah,
probably a good idea." Do we
I would do that.
do,
Yes.
do we start there again when we talk 13-6A?
I think he's the best player in the district. He's one of the best players in the state. Jermaine Bishop's electrifying on both sides of the ball, which is why we call him the Texas high school football. Travis Hunter, he's very, very special. He's fun to watch, and he can take over a game single handedly. And with him on the roster, Willis is going to be in most every game. However, I think this might be the year that we see the return of the Woodlands
Okay.
to the top of the district. Willis graduated, 2 years ago when they graduated, when DJ Lagway graduated and went off to Florida, they still had a strong core of seniors that had won a lot of football games. And we saw that last year going 12-1, pushing DeSoto in the third round of the playoffs before falling. This year, I think we're going to see a little bit. I don't want to see a rebuild, but a lot of new faces are going to have to step up. A lot of young guys are going to have to step up for Willis, losing 31 lettermen. And so Jermaine Bishop's going to have to carry a lot of the load. They've got a big question mark at quarterback. I don't think they have a guy that's won the job quite yet. And they lose where Willis, I thought, improved last year was on the defensive front seven. Their defensive front seven was much improved last year, and they graduated a lot of those guys. So there's going to be a lot of question marks when it comes to Willis. I could see them finishing anywhere from first to fourth. I think the district is much improved. It's a deep district, and I think it's going to be a dogfight every week for a very young Willis Ball Club. Now, you give them the benefit of the doubt because they've gotten it done the last 2 years, but this is going to be a lot of new faces that are going to step up for the Wildcats.
That's interesting. 1 through 4, still a playoff squad. You talked about the Woodlands. Obviously, when you start the discussion with the Woodlands, you start with Jack Dalton, the quarterback. But
Absolutely.
tell me, what else has impressed you with the Woodlands? Because I'm assuming if you don't think if Willis steps in there, is it the Woodlands' turn to step in there, or do you have another surprise team, which we'll get to after you talk about the Woodlands, that may take that first spot?
Well, I think the Woodlands is the favorite in the district. It's really, they've got two things going for them. They've got 8 starters back on defense, maybe one of the best secondaries in the entire state with Parker Stewart, Kason Bartolozzi leading the way there. Those two guys are outstanding. They've got a dominant defensive lineman in Jairee Jefferson, who had 10 sacks last year. They've got a great linebacker in Cole Carlin. So this is a defense that has playmakers at all 3 levels, and they're deep. Offensively, you got to replace a lot on the offensive line, and that's a big question. They're going to be very young on the offensive line, but you got the trigger man there in Jack Dalton, the TCU commit, who accounted for 44 touchdowns last year. He's unbelievable. They've got a nice running back that I like in Cody Jordan, who's going to be a player. But I think the big thing for the Woodlands is why I give them the edge is the experience on the defensive side of the ball and the guy at quarterback.
Excellent. Yeah, if your experience on offense comes at the quarterback position, that gives you a little bit of time to grow there, because that guy's going to have his maturity and be able to pick his guys that know how to run routes and find his ways to get holes and stuff like that. So that's pretty good. You talk about the teams coming up, man. I don't want to push off College Park because I really like College Park, but what's going on there at Grand Oaks? I feel like they got something going. Is that a playoff team or no?
I think this year they are going to be a playoff team. I had a good talk with Coach McDowell earlier this offseason at a coach's clinic, and he was like, we got to break through this year. This is the year that we need to break.
It's year 3 for him, right?
Yeah, and they bring back a ton. They bring back 7 starters on both sides of the ball. They weren't far off a year ago, so they've got numbers in the program now, and I think they're ready. They've got a guy at quarterback in Grant Smith, who's a 4-year starter. They've got playmakers out at the receiver spots. This is a team that's ready to break out, and if they're going to do it, they got to do it this year. Now, Coach McDowell did say one thing that they've got to get over a mental hurdle is they've had trouble against their Conroe ISD brethren. They have struggled against College Park, Conroe, the Woodlands, obviously, and they got to get over that kind of a little bit of a mental hump that they've had. Great Oaks, they haven't been around very long, but they haven't made the playoffs in school history. So if they were to get in, this would be the first year. I think it's going to be a real dogfight. I think there's 4 teams fighting for 3 spots behind the Woodlands. I think College Park is still going to be in the mix. They were a surprise area-round playoff team last year. I think Kyle Coates is doing a heck of a job there. They bring quite a bit back. You can never count out Conroe and Cedric Hardiman's ball club. Always super, super athletic. Now they took some graduation losses. They're probably they've probably going to have more new faces than anyone other than Willis. But they've still got some playmakers. Xavier Harmon, Damian Horace there in the secondary. Wide receiver Braylon Mills, like him quite a bit. So there's still some players there. I love Cameron Nunley, the junior quarterback there at Conroe. So really, there's going to be a really good football team that misses the playoffs in 13-6-8. And that just shows you the depth that there is in this district, because there's that 5th place team is going to be a playoff team in a lot of other districts.
Right. Anyway, College Park, you talked about in the job Coates is doing. It seems like they have the experience maybe some of these other teams are lacking. So when you start talking about 3 fighting for 2 spots, and you got to kind of give a little bit of an edge to College Park to grab one of those.
Yeah, I think they've got a sophomore defensive lineman, Jordan Grant, that I really like. He played as a freshman this last year on the varsity. He's going to be a playmaker, 300 pounds in the middle of that defensive line. They've got a sophomore running back, Antonio Booker. So they're adding in some dynamic young talent with that veteran leadership that they have. So I think College Park is a playoff team. Honestly, right now, if you put, gun to my head, I might say Conroe might be the odd team out here. I might go Conroe the odd team out. It's going to be really close, and I've actually got that week 3. There's a huge game early in the season, week 3, Thursday night, Conroe versus College Park. I've got that on my schedule. I might be in the house for that game. Right. That should be an excellent football game and could be dripping with playoff implications. So it's good. The district games, it's a 9-team district. So the district games start early, and the games that determine the playoffs are going to start early in this district. Yeah. So it's going to be a lot of fun to watch. You got a new coach there at Oak Ridge, Tyler Blackshire, coming over from Magnolia. They've got 13 starters back. I expect them to be a little bit better this year. Caney Creek should be improved. Yeah. They've got
waiting for you to talk about Caney Creek, because I know they had a couple first-teamers coming back. What do you think about them?
They should be better. I don't think they're ready to get into the playoff mix yet last year, but they were junior heavy last year. They got a lot of seniors coming back, so I think there's a chance they'll be improved. And I even think New Caney down at the bottom of the district, new head coach Sheldon Benight coming over from Galveston Ball. They've got a lot of guys back. I think they'll be better as well. But they may be better, but I don't know if they'll be able to get out of that number 8 spot, because the district is just so deep this year. This is going to be one of the best districts and the deepest districts 1 through 8 that you'll see in the state of Texas. This is a really good district.
And Cleveland will be struggling to just get some improvement there.
Yeah, they've got a new head coach as well, Johnny Sanders, coming over. So Cleveland, they've struggled for a long time. That the really fast growth. They went from 4A to 6A in like 4 years, and they just really haven't had the numbers. But they were a 4A program. They were a good team, and they've just struggled moving up, and it's been a tough go for them.
Tough road. You made an interesting point, and I'll leave it at that. But you made an interesting point earlier. People think about a 9-team district, and you're like, okay, well, there's 8 games you have in district play. So if you stumble a little bit, you'll be all right. You get your footing and get back. It doesn't work like that. If you stumble early, it could put you behind that 8 ball. And it's your first district game, but all of these things are important.
You've got time to catch up, but because this district schedule is so long, and that one game in week 3 could come back to haunt you, especially if you end up in a tie with that team and you lost. So you kind of know who the teams that are in the playoff discussion are, and I think there's 5 in this district. So I think any of those games between those 5 teams are going to be of consequence, and you want to rack up as many wins as possible to be on the good side of those potential tiebreakers.
Absolutely.